This is Belizean Legends. Today we will be speaking with a young, dynamic Belizean, I would say a child of a Belizean parent, of someone who I've known for many years, Charlene Rene, and her son. I remember him when he was a little baby boy, and now today he sits into the Belizean Legends studio with his mom, Nile Jones, right?
Yes.
And we want to talk to Niles about things that goes on in the high school, the peer pressures, and all those influences that came at him, and why is it that a student like him was able to succeed regardless of the pressures from the outside. And we will hear from Nile Jones today in this very exclusive interview. First of all, Nile, I would just like to ask you, give me a brief history of your life as a student coming up, raised by a Belizean mother. What was that like to you, and born and grew up in America? Give us some kind of understanding of that.
I would say that being raised as a Belizean-American has really influenced me to be the person I am today, because my family is so integral to my life, and the Belizean culture as well is very prominent in my life, and I don't even realize it sometimes. Like, for example, my grandma and my grandpa, they make powder buns and fried jacks all the time for me, and I don't even think of it as like, oh, you guys are Belizean, you guys are doing this. I just think of it as, this is normal, this is who I am, and this is what I'm proud of. And I'd say the Belizean culture has really influenced me to be proud of who I am no matter what, and to be proud of those around me also, because all of us might have different origins, but we are still united in some way or another.
I'm interviewing you from an educator's standpoint, and someone who is an educator at LA Unified School District and a teacher. You see a lot of students in classes from the 9th grade all the way up to the 10th grade, and you sort of see them and you discriminate against them based on the fact and the way they look. They may sag their pants, they may wear a certain kind of haircut, certain kind of shirt, they may have earrings in their ear. But do you believe the theory that you do not take people by how they look, but that person can be a very intelligent person, not because that person has a certain look that means that that person is such and such? Do you believe in that?
It's hard to say, because sometimes what you see is how they actually act and how they carry themselves, but I've seen people online on YouTube videos who have really high GPAs and who are attending great colleges, even though they were raised in Compton and they have sagging pants and things like that. I think that it's still possible. It's sometimes the way you just need to carry yourself in places like that, just to look normal. Like, for example, you wouldn't go into a low income area, like a place that's impoverished, and be wearing like very flashy clothes and very flashy jewelry. You just don't do that. You have to sort of fit in the culture, and sometimes that will lead people to perceive you differently, but from what I've seen online, there's definitely instances of people who sort of betray others with their looks, because on the inside they have great potential. So it's pretty hard to tell, but there are definitely people who dress like that, who are still really brilliant.
Charlene, I want to bring you in on this before I go back to Nile. You were able to successfully raise a son in South Central Los Angeles, and we know the history of South Central Los Angeles, or say Inglewood, right? Because it is where Nile grew up, in most of all in the Inglewood district, but that's right bordering South Central. They overlap. You are going against a culture that is a violent culture, a culture that is promiscuous with a lot of sex, a culture that is have a whole lot of things that you know is coming after your son. What were some of the things that you were able to do to protect him or to shelter him? Because it is very difficult to have success or results as a single mother as yourself. How were you able to do that?
Well, first of all, what I did, I decided that I wasn't going to use the LAUSD school system for him. I realized, yes, we are living in Inglewood at the time. We lived in Inglewood up until he was 9 years old. And then I moved to Westchester, which is a few blocks across. But what I've done for him is that I have engaged him in activities outside of school, such as scouting, such as golfing. Those things help to build character. You're in uniform, you're tucked in, you have a certain haircut. Those things kind of like not let him want to be or have any reason to say, oh mom, I'd like to wear a mohawk, or I want to get jewelry. Because being a scout, being in a golf league, and then being in private school, those are the three things right there that those three institution avoids you from having those things, which help contribute to people would say to me like, oh, he's definitely not a product of his environment. And that's because I raised him with my Belizean culture. I raised him with saying, know who your mom is, respect your mom. There is only one adult in my household, and that's me. And so with that, Nile was able to abide by growing up and listen to what I say. He was able to flourish, I would say, because right away he realized that my mom is making some great decisions for me. My mom had made some sacrifice for me. She's put me into certain things, and it's only to help me. Because, as you know, scouting is very strict. With scouting, you're a good citizen right there. So how can you be a good citizen? How can you be a scout?
Civic pride, yeah.
Right. So how can you be a scout and you want to be a gangbanger? How can you golf and you want to sag? How can you go in Catholic school and decide, or private school and decides that I want to wear jewelry? So it was only to help him, and I really enforce my Belizean roots, my Belizean culture, my Belizean everything. I'm very proud of it, and I really let him know, yes, you may think that you're an American because you're born in America, but you are an American Belizean. And with that, I think that he understands even more as he grew up and say, yes, I am. Because culturally, he's raised with the food, with the love, with the traditions, and then at the same time, American-wise, he is, has been exposed to some of the good things that the Americans have, their lifestyle and the travels and the beauty of the place, and we can go on and on.
Yeah, you took the good things out of the United States, out of
Right.
American culture, and you left the bad things alone.
Right.
And you have taught him to do the same. Take the good things that America offers, because there is a lot of good things. It's amazing now to come back to you how young black kids and Latino kids, they just waste a lot of stuff. You see on the desks, school sucks. They're ditching classes. They don't want to come to classes. They don't want to learn. You put a lot of stuff on the board. I'm going to do all that. No, I ain't going to write all that down. You hear all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
The opportunity that this country has given to screaming immigrants like your mother and I, who have taken advantage of those things, but yet there is all these bad things right there too. It's a culture that says we are offering you all the good things, but here also we can offer you all the bad things. Take your choice. And it appears that a lot of these young generation today that are students in middle and high school, they don't understand how to filter that. What's your take on that, Nile?
I agree with that. A lot of people don't know how to use the opportunities they're given, and I think it's more just like an aspect of human nature. Like if you give somebody if you give somebody a power and they don't know how to use that power, then they can use it negatively, and it'll hurt themselves, in fact. So I feel like I think that what you said is really true, and it's unfortunate too, because there's nothing that'll completely eradicate the problem, because it's the person's choice, really. The person has the right and the privilege, the free will to use that power in which way he wants to. And by power, I mean just like American privilege, just living in a first world country where you have a roof over your head and where you have opportunities to get a good education and make something out of your life. So definitely people do misuse that, but it's important that we learn to use that properly, and if we need it, we should ask for help, because there are people who have been in similar situations as us who could really benefit us if we seek their help.
Very much. Do you feel that your mom's culture that was imposed on you, and for your own good, do you think that has contributed to you having that understanding that you just mentioned, and that for you to have been able to take the good things and left the bad things alone?
I would say so, yes. I would have to think of some examples, but I'm thinking my experiences with everyone in my family, because pretty much everyone on my mom's side was born in Belize. I would say all of those people, everyone in my family has helped me to become a better person, because I know not only get the understanding of the Belizean tradition, but also the American tradition. So I have sort of a balance that I'm raised with in not only comprehending, like I said, Belizeans, but also Americans. So I think that's helped me to analyze other contrasts, like, for example, like previously mentioned, the people who don't use power right and end up in gangs, and also the people who use power right and end up becoming very successful. So I would say that the contrast between Belizeans and Americans has helped me to understand other contrasts that are very important in society.
Before I go to you, I want to go to your mom. But you use that word power, and I want to come back. I don't know why you're using that word power, but that's very interesting, and I like that word power. But I want to go to your mom, and Charlene, you were about to say something.
Yeah. Well, what I've done also with Nile is that I know my Belizean culture. I know my Belizean heritage, and I know better than everything else. So with Nile being born in America, his father is an American. When I was looking for an institution for him, I selected Marcus Garvey in the beginning, because Marcus Garvey taught them of their heritage, things that I couldn't really teach him. Marcus Garvey, what it does for any child that attends Marcus Garvey is that it really makes their backbone even stronger, because it makes them proud of being a black person and who you really are and who you really is. And the thing is that a lot of African Americans, when you meet them, they don't know their history. And so when another race, whether it's a European or Canadian or white American or whoever, they sometimes can't stand up to questions that are being thrown at them, or they get intimidated. But what I've learned and I've seen in my son, and I don't know if it's just from what I've instilled in him or part of what Marcus Garvey, I believe it's a combination of both. But my son is a very positive young man. He can be with any race. His school is very diverse. I would say less than 5% is African American, and he doesn't have a problem there, because he is sure of himself. He knows, if you tell you about your
confident.
Yes. And that's what I think we have to build up in our kids, not just our young men, but if we had young daughters too. I think that sometimes teenagers go through this thing where they think they're ugly, they don't like their skin, they don't like the texture of their hair. And we talk about all that. We talk about the bridge that we don't really have on our nose compared to how another race might have. We talk about our eyes, our hair. And so I let my son know that, you know what? Black is beautiful. I don't believe that black women needs makeup to look good. Same thing I let him know. You don't have to have on, Armani suits and blah, blah, blah to make you who you are. If you're clean, everything is tucked in right, I believe that people look at you and they know right away. They know your caliber.
Yeah. Excellent point. And I think now when I hear your mom mentioning, it gave me mentioning what she just said just now, it gave me an understanding of what you meant by power. In other words, are you talking about what she has empowered, or what things that have empowered you, including her? You use that word power. Why are you using that word power? What are you relating to?
I'm just relating to free will, basically, because, like you said, people in the classroom can easily just say, I don't want to learn this, I don't want to be in school. They have that power, that right to say that. But also another person using that same power of free will could say, I actually want to learn and do well in school. So I feel it's very important because anyone has that power. Everyone has it. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to wake up on time. You don't have to do anything productive. It's all a choice. So everyone has that power. Everyone has that right. But it's important to make use of what's given to you so you're not wasting it away, and at the same time you're doing something with your life and influencing others in the process.
Very nice. We look at, your mom brought up the whole aspect of the fact that you were trained or you were taught to learn to get along with people in terms of a multicultural environment, in terms of your school. It is not easy in a society that is racist. The reason I love the word power when you use it is that the people who control this country has power, and they use that power to keep other people down. How have you been able to deal with racism in terms of it's there? We don't need to hide from it. But that is remarkable in terms of how can a young man, because most of my students, because I'm black, and they know it's become a joke thing now. Oh, you did that because I'm black, right?
Yeah.
How have you been able to deal with the whole aspects of cultural prejudice, racism, whatever we want to call that, and then in turn be able to triumph, to use the power that you talk about, that free will to rise above that? How have you been able to do that?
Well, for me, just from my experiences, what I usually notice at school is that a lot of the people who are racist are usually not that intellectual. They don't try at all in school, and they look like they're not making something out of their lives. So I think that's the first thing that inspires me to say, hey, I don't have to listen to you, pretty much. Because if you're going to say something and it's not good, and if it's coming from you who I feel is not making something out of your life, then I don't have to put up with it, right? And also, I would say a lot of people call me an Oreo because they view me as black on the outside and white on the inside. Mm-hmm. And in response, I just say thank you. Like, I'm proud to be that because I'm sort of the bridge between races now, and I get an understanding of every culture there. Mm-hmm. And it's a good thing. When people say racist thing to me, I just sort of laugh about it because I know who I am, and that can never hurt me. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of all the people I know, no matter what the color. And I feel like that's inspired me to become a more balanced person and a more understanding person too.
I see these success stories, and I see them in you. And when you mention that, how people tell you talk to proper, and they think that you're white inside, there are numerous kids that went through that kind of peer pressure, and some of them never did. Since I've seen instances and I've seen documentaries where students couldn't take the pressure and they committed suicide. Well, some of you have not done that, and you have succeeded today. What have made you able to shut that out? growing up in a racist culture like America, is it the upbringing that you have got from your mom and her Belizean culture and the values that comes from that culture? Or is it carving out your own identity in terms of you already know who you are and what you want to be? What is it that have made you triumph over those things?
I would say it's both. Just my upbringing, because not only has my family taught me to be proud of both of my heritages, American and Belizean, but also unexpectedly my grandma's neighbors. And I say that because first off, my grandma and uncle, they used to live sort of right next to each other, and they used to have a daycare. And when I was younger, there used to be a lot of people who came to the daycare, and I think the vast majority of them were black, but my grandma's neighbors were Latino, and they had some kids my age, and I got along really well with them. I would say they're my best childhood friends. And they all speak Spanish, so sometimes they would teach me a little Spanish. But I would say that experience of not only my mother's side of the Belizean heritage, not just that, but also the heritage of Latinos and what I see at school, which is mostly whites and Asians. Together, I would say they helped me to understand my true identity and my place in it, because I actually went to a student overnight at LMU, a black student overnight, and the sort of coordinator came up and spoke, and he said something really interesting. He said that when you're one of the few black people in an area, it gives you more opportunities to present the black community in a better light. And I think that's a really powerful statement, because what I was saying before about power, it applies to this too. You know, you have the power to present your race in a very good light, because what you see on the news is people a lot of the time just assume, oh, that's the whole black community. But they only say that because that's what they see on TV. But if you present yourself in a good way, then other people will take on and they'll say, hey, the black community and this person in general is progressing, and it's not what we see on TV, and it's not what the stereotypes say. So I would say that statement from the guy at LMU and my experiences with my family and my family's neighbors has allowed me to make use of my opportunities and build a separate identity for myself in the process.